Good, happy Tuesday evening. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast. Let's get started. First up, authorities investigate suspicious death in Danville. The Attorney General's office and the State Fire Marshal's office are investigating a suspicious death in Danville. Authorities said police found a dead adult Monday after they were called to a home on Kamal Drive. The victim was identified as Joanna Botcher, 51, according to her ex-husband, Danielle Botcher. Neighbors said Botcher has been living in the home for more than 20 years. She was described as a friendly person who loved animals. Neighbors said that they didn't hear anything out of the ordinary on Monday. An autopsy was planned for Tuesday, but details have not been released. No other information was immediately available. State school funding cap ruled unconstitutional. A Supreme Court justice has ruled that a state cap on education funding is unconstitutional in case brought by the city of Dover. In the ruling signed Friday, Justice Brian Tucker said that a cap that reduced the amount of state funds that Dover received for its schools was unconstitutional. The ruling means Dover is entitled to $1.5 million that was cut from its state educational aid in fiscal year 2016. Hillary Clinton defends not knowing State Department classification markings. Let's take a listen to this video from ABC News.
Let me ask you about your emails.
Yes.
It was a year ago, Secretary Clinton, you sat across from me, and you said not only was it a mistake,
Right.
But that you were sorry.
Right.
A year later, we sit together again,
Yes.
and the issue hasn't gone away. The FBI just released documents on its own investigation into your emails, and you're aware that in the report you told FBI investigators that you were either unaware or misunderstood some of the classification procedures. We also read about an aide who got rid of old BlackBerries, using a hammer, taking a hammer to a BlackBerry. When Americans hear that, do you think that feeds into what the FBI director said when he said about you, that you were extremely careless with your emails?
Well, I hope not, because I take classification very seriously, always have, ever since I was on the Senate Armed Services Committee some years ago. And what I want people to understand is really two things. I take responsibility. I have learned that trying to explain what happened made it sound to some people like I was trying to excuse it. There are no excuses. I take responsibility. I made a mistake. I've apologized. And obviously, I wish I could do differently what happened. I certainly would never do that again. With respect to classification, on classified documents, there is what's called a header. It says this material is top secret, secret, or confidential. There were no headers on the thousands of emails that I sent or received. There just weren't, and the FBI has not in any way contradicted that. There were a couple of emails with a tiny c in a parentheses, which did not have a header saying that means confidential in this circumstance, and which the director of the FBI has said, and the State Department has said, those couple of emails were improperly marked even with that. So yes, I take classification seriously, and I think the record shows that I have.
Okay, and there you go on that report. 7 Iran boats harass Navy ship in Gulf. Iranian fast boats have once again harassed an American ship in the Persian Gulf, forcing a U.S. Navy patrol boat to take invasions maneuvers to avoid a collision with one of the fast boats that sped at it head on. And now let's take a look at your markets that closed this evening. And here's a look at what they look like. They all closed in the green and went up. So that is good. Those are your markets look right now. NASDAQ posts all-time closing high as stocks shrug off dismal ISM data. Let's take a listen to this video from CNBC.
In the tri-state area, kind of got the feel of that this morning. A lot more people on those commuter trains throughout the area. And it's the same thing down here as well. What we have are at least the beginnings of perhaps a volume pickup in the New York Stock Exchange here as people get back to work, although we should say kids are still going back to school. Maybe some people are still out of the office. But for right now, we have a modestly positive day with the Dow, the NASDAQ, the S&P all posting fractional gains. As for the early sector winners and losers, if there really are losers, generally speaking, the market's higher. You got utilities and energy leading the way. Materials are kind of up there as well. The consumer discretionary, as you guys have mentioned, a lot of those stocks maybe kind of holding things back so far. Also, the financial sector spider as well, showing some at least signs of lagging in the early going. Tech and financials are a big part of the bull story over the last couple of weeks. We'll see if it goes higher. Remember, lower volumes then. We'll see volumes pick up now. As for the overall picture, for at least the macro side of things, you take a look at gold prices, right? Because we have seen a nice little uptick in them. We have seen a steep collapse in those prices at some point that took down a lot of those miners. Now we're seeing a little bit of stability. The mining stocks were among the hottest trades to start off in 2016, so we'll see if that happens. Also, bond ETFs, guys, if you're looking for a bullish case here, remember, high-yield bond ETFs have been doing relatively well to the market. We'll see if that picks up any more steam here with some volume, guys. Back over to you.
Okay, and there you have it on that report. And that does it for the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I'll see you back here around 9 p.m. for news and weather. Have a great night, everyone. Goodbye.